One, welcome you to the Lexington County School District 3 Board of Trustees regular monthly meeting. It is Tuesday, February the 13th, 2024, 6 p.m., and we are meeting here at the district office, and everyone is present. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for being here. At this time, we will have our Pledge of Allegiance and our prayer led by Ava Barton.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. Dear Jesus, thank you for this day and thank you for keeping us safe. Please be with the board members and leaders tonight as they make important decisions for our schools. Please guide them to do your will. We love you. Thank you for saving us. Amen.
Great job. Thank you, Ava. At this time, we will move on to item 1.4, approval of the agenda. And without objection, we will approve the agenda as presented. Agenda is approved. You also have in your packet the minutes from our January 16th, 2024 regular board meeting, and without objection, we will approve those. Minutes of January 16th are approved. We'll move on to 2.1, our consent items and our financial report with Ms. Roden.
Good evening. You received your information in your packet. The January collections are up, as they usually are in January. January and February is when we get our largest tax influx from people paying their property taxes, their homes. The January cash balance analysis, the item noteworthy this month is the earnest money for the 2014-15 high school house that our vocational students build. So we've sold one already a year ahead. Do you have any specific questions about the board packet this month? No? Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, 2.2, Superintendent's Report with Dr. Atkinson.
Thank you. On Saturday, we had our second successful Farm to Families event at the primary school. It lasted from 9 to 11, but I just want to thank our district staff that started getting there at 6 a.m. and they were there past 12. So it was a 2-hour event for our families, but it was a much longer day for all of our staff that volunteered and worked that day. We had all of our food service personnel from the schools, guidance counselor, our social worker, and our SRO who was giving advice on how to properly install car seats and providing new car seats for those that might need one. So it was a great event. Each of our families received one voucher worth $60 to spend, and we had 14 different items. We had 95 families with about 125 children in that 95. There's 95 families that were able to get food. So we had all kinds of things from rice and pecans and peas, fresh peas, cabbage, honey, fresh milk. So it was a great day and great items for people to choose from. And the whole purpose of this is for the children to be able to have that market experience and be able to pick out their own items and take them with them. So it's just not a food bag. It's an event for families. We celebrate our 100 Days of School on January the 25th with themed projects and dressing up like 100-year-olds. I guess they had some models to be able to do that with, but we had some really cute children that were dressed up like, is it centenarians? Is that right, Ms. Bryant? Okay. As you know, the elementary school will be presenting their next play, their next wonderful production. They'll be doing Beauty and the Beast Jr. It's a musical on Saturday, April the 27th, and when I looked at the cast and crew, I counted over 70 of our students from the elementary school that will be participating, and we'll have the time of each of our show to be determined or to be announced soon, but it will be on April the 27th when there'll be 2 shows. Our spring enrichment camp is quickly coming up. It'll be March the 25th and 28th. Again, we have 2 different tracks or 2 different categories. We have the academic assistance And then we have the enrichment session. So in the enrichment session side, we have about 254 students already enrolled to participate in all those activities. Again, it's an all-day event, 8 to 2:30, and it was a huge success in the fall, and we expect the same for the spring. Our middle school junior beta club had a successful convention. We had sent 35 students. We have 5 students that placed, and I want to just call attention to Lexi Davis, who took first place in performing arts, and she will also go on to perform and compete at the national convention in Savannah, Georgia this summer. The elementary school participated in Clemson's Extension Expanded Food and Nutrition Program. Again, this is the students in Miss Shealy's class. Our students learned about diet quality, physical activity, food safety, food security, and food resource management, which means trying to buy healthy food on a budget. And so it was a great event for those students to be able to learn some of those skills that will, those lifelong skills that are so important. We've got a lot of farm themes this week, this month. The primary school, they received an award to purchase a new milk cooler. And also at the high school, we'll be serving milk in a dispenser like the S&K or K&W cafeterias, so students will have a better tasting milk, and then they'll learn. And so college and career ready skills, because in college you have to learn how to balance your tray, hold a cup, and try to pick up that steel arm and get your milk without spilling either. So that will be an event. During the winter, our student athletes had celebrated academic success. We had 233 students that participated in athletics in the winter. 165 of these 233, or 71%, had over a 3.0 GPA. 78 or 33% had over 4.0, and we had 8 students that had over 5.0. So great job on the academic side of our student athletes. Our middle school basketball team, girls and boys, both made the playoffs. Our girls were undefeated, the regular season champion at 12-0, and they were the girls South Division champion of the Lex 10 Middle School Conference. Our boys finished with 9-3 regular season record, and they were also the champions for the Lex 10 Conference. Our archery team and our ROTC marksmanship team recently received a $2,000 donation from Buddy and Daphne Ridgel. They do this every year to be able to support these programs, and it's a part of the South Carolina Arms Collection Association, so we're appreciative of their support of those 2 programs. Our high school boys and girls basketball team both made the playoffs. In fact, the boys are playing in Newberry and should be starting within the hour, and then our girls will play in Saluda tomorrow night. And then last but not least, our middle school had a very successful family engagement night. That was on January the 11th, and it was a great event. Lots of food and activities and fun, and also some health CPR demonstrations. So it's been a very successful and productive month at our schools.
Thank you so much. Item 3.0, public participation. Jennifer, no cards? All right, no cards. Then we will move on to item 4.0, information, an update on the district involvement in Lexington County concurrency requirements for residential developments in the unincorporated areas of Lexington County, and that's with Dr. Atkinson.
Okay, back in December, we started receiving information about Lexington County concurrency. And it's kind of a new application for me for the word concurrency, because I'm used to it as it applies to computer programming. I've not heard it as it applies here. And so the definition of concurrency says a set of land use regulations adopted by local government to ensure adequate public services are available to support a new development. So that's the governmental definition of how concurrency applies to services, and those resources need to support those endeavors. As you have followed Lexington County over the past couple of years, they have enacted several ordinances to try to manage exponential growth in the county. And so they have passed 5 ordinances over the last few months, a few years, to try to do things like limit 4 dwellings per acre, also try to a 108-day moratorium where no new subdivisions could be permitted. They created the Lake Murray Residential District, the Agriculture District, that purpose was to limit development. They've also had an ordinance that dealt with landscaping and open space requirements, and then they had an ordinance that determined how much land could be disturbed or cleared for a residential or commercial development at any point in given time during that development. Which all this leads into the ordinances that this paper or this survey that I've given you, questionnaire that I want to talk about tonight, and that is ordinance 2313 and 2315, and this is concurrency. And the final reading and public participation occurred in December of 2023. And kind of to sum these two ordinances up, it's a zoning and subdivision ordinance that requires adequate services associated with law enforcement, emergency medical services, fire services, solid waste management, and public school districts to adequately serve the proposed development. Now, this ordinance concurrency applies to residential subdivisions with 10 or more lots, residential subdivisions with an average lot size of less than 1.5 acres, mobile homes, mobile home parks, tiny home parks, duplexes, townhomes, apartments and multifamily dwellings, independent housing associated with assisted living, and just tiny homes in general. So that's what it applies to, and it only applies to the unincorporated areas. So any municipality, concurrency does not apply. There are some exemptions for, if you want to simply split up a piece of property into other plots, large lot subdivisions, subdivisions for estate purposes, accessory dwelling. So if you want to put a backyard cottage behind your main dwelling, it does not apply to that either, or just multiple dwellings that are on large tracts of land. So basically, to be able to, all these items that applies, you have to get permission or approval from law enforcement, emergency medical services, fire service, solid waste management, and public school districts. All the county superintendents got together to meet, and we met with Lynn Serkey, the county administrator, and Robbie Derrick, the director of community development, as an option to be able to provide information to county to be able to make the decision instead of us being the bad guy that says yes or no, you can't to build a development here. We can't tell what students can enroll or can't enroll here if they live in the district. So we were just going to send the information back to county councils for them to make the final decision. And so that's what this questionnaire that I've provided with you is the purpose of, is for us to, is to let county council know how this would impact our district. And as you go through and take a look at the questionnaire, you'll see, again, it asks things about, the number of schools we have, how many additional students could we handle at this time, would we need portable classrooms, which, we obviously would want to avoid at all costs. They are very expensive for the amount of classroom space that you get, how many portables, and then if you go on down, it says, would you have to do a new school construction? What is this construction, at what grade levels? What would the cost be? How would this affect the millage for the district? Additional teachers and staff, transportation. So it's asking for the impact it would have on the resources that the district already has to be able to accommodate a residential dwelling with X number of houses that would produce growth in our class size. So after saying all that, do we have any comments or questions about how this applies to us or the form or anything in that nature? I will say all the superintendents we have met several times, and we have been sharing back and forth. So we have all had a part of this and worked on, what we wanted to all send back to the county, and that's why it's on county stationery, or their letterhead. So we sent them what we wanted, they put it on there, and they shared it with county council. So that's what their county council is expecting as well.
Any questions? All right, thank you, sir. All right, we will move on to our action items. Item 5.1, approval for the B&L Middle School chorus students to take a field trip to Carowinds to perform at the Carowinds Festival of Music on April the 19th, 2024 in Charlotte with Miss Megan Reagan, our middle school chorus teacher.
Good evening. My name is Megan Reagan. I'm the chorus teacher at BLMS. I am seeking approval for the participation of the BLMS chorus in the Carowinds Festival of Music in Carowinds, or at Carowinds in Charlotte, North Carolina on Friday, April 19th, 2024. This event offers our students an opportunity to showcase their musical talents in an adjudicated performance setting. Students will receive valuable feedback from professional judges, as well as a rating based on their musical performance. I believe this experience will not only be educational for our students, but also a source of pride for our school and community. Thank you for considering my request. We look forward to the possibility of representing Lexington 3 at the Carowinds Festival of Music, and I appreciate your support in fostering the musical development of our students. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, you heard Ms. Reagan's presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we give approval for Batesburg-Leesville Middle School chorus students to attend the field trip at Carowinds on April 29th to perform in the music festival.
We have a motion from Mr. Kaufman to grant approval for the B&L Middle School chorus students to take a field trip to Carowinds to perform at the Carowinds Festival of Music on April the 19th, 2024 in Charlotte. Do I have a second? Second by Dr. Gunner. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great time. 5.2, second reading approval of policy BD, organization of the school board with Ms. Bryant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're bringing forward for the second reading policy BD this week. Nothing has changed from our last time. This is again just to get in line with our practice that we are currently using.
All right, you heard Ms. Bryant's presentation. Any questions?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we grant second reading approval of policy BD, organization of the school board as presented by Ms. Bryant.
We have a motion from Dr. Gunner for second reading approval of policy BD, organization of the school board as presented by Ms. Bryant. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second with Ms. Baltnick. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. And now we will go on for our first reading approval of policy IC, the school year.
Thank you, Ms. Burgess. First of all, I want to apologize. I sent the wrong draft in the original packet that went out, but we had to make some changes to the agenda, so luckily I got to send the corrected one. So just too many drafts on the computer. I apologize for that. This is one about our school year, again, lining up with more of what we actually do. And there were some changes made to the regulations about, this policy is a little bit old. It had not been updated since 2006, and there's some changes to the regulation in terms of makeup days. So now, we're required to build the makeup days within the calendar. And so that takes care of some things. And then the language that existed in it did not recognize that you as a board can relieve 3 days in addition to that, and then the process for appealing to the state board for 3 more. So again, it's just bringing up to what we're actually doing and make it current with current regulations.
All right, any questions for Ms. Bryant?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a recommendation that we give first reading approval of policy IC school year as recommended by the administration.
We have a motion from Ms. Carey for first reading approval of policy IC school year as presented by the administration. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Derrick. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is item 6.1, executive session for discussion of personnel matters.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we move into executive session for discussion of personnel matters.
Have a motion from Mr. Baltnick to move into executive session for discussion of personnel matters. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Ms. Baltnick. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. We are now in executive session.